I am going to take lecture on nutrition part 2. Summary of nutrition part 2 for first MBBS second term, second MBBS second term and third MBBS first term. On 20th May we had summary of nutrition part 1. In that, proximate principles of diet and micronutrients were covered. In that, just 2-3 slides were remaining that I will finish first, and then we will go to today's topic, that is application of the knowledge of nutrition in our day-to-day practice. So, summary of nutrition part 2, application of the knowledge of nutrition which will be today on 5th of June between 2 to 3. So, specific instructional objectives for today's lecture are application of the knowledge of nutrition in the implementation of different programs at community and at national level. Second is Food Adulteration Act 1954 and its amendments from time to time till recently 2015. The nutritional deficiency disorders or excess leading to different health problems. The National Nutrition Policy 1993 till Niti Aayog 2015 has declared Kuposhan Mukta Bharat by 2022, that we are going to discuss in our today's part 2. Now, last time when we were discussing about iodine deficiency disorders. Part of it is remaining that I will finish. Epidemiological assessment of iodine deficiency disorders. In that, prevalence of goiter, prevalence of cretinism, urinary iodine excretion, prevalence of neonatal hypothyroidism, and serum T3, T4 and TSH levels. These are the indicators to decide the iodine deficiency disorders in a community. Out of these, the most sensitive indicators are, number 1 is thyroid deficiency amongst the neonates, that is neonatal hypothyroidism, and second one is serum T4 levels are the two important indicators. Now the next mineral that we are going to discuss today is fluorine. Fluorine is present in abundant quantity in nature. About 96% of it is present in our bones and in our teeth. It is used for mineralization of bones and formation of enamel of our teeth. This fluorine we get from drinking water, sea fish, cheese and tea. Normal expected levels in our body are 0.5 to 0.8 milligrams per liter. If less than that, less than 0.5, it causes deficiency of fluorine, and if it is more than 0.8, it causes dental fluorosis and skeletal fluorosis. So, by both the ways it is dangerous, so it is called two-way sword. Levels below will cause dental caries and levels above it will cause dental fluorosis and skeletal fluorosis. So, for prevention of this fluorine problem, either fluoridation of water or defluoridation of water, depending upon what is needed in that particular situation. Accordingly, it is carried out. Now, next mineral that we are going to discuss today is zinc. Zinc is one of the very important nutrient in our diet. It is needed for insulin synthesis in pancreas, which are very important in our carbohydrate metabolism. Deficiency of zinc may lead to sexual infantilism, delayed wound healing, liver diseases, thalassemia, myocardial infarction. Healing is delayed, then liver diseases, thalassemia and myocardial infarction. These are the different problems related to zinc deficiency. Zinc supplementation with ORS, oral rehydration solution, in diarrhea cases will help in reducing the frequency and duration of diarrhea. Then mild deficiency will lead to low birth weight of babies, intrauterine growth retardation in a baby, preterm delivery, and severe deficiency may lead to spontaneous abortion or anencephaly. Zinc supplementation reduces the attack of malaria in children. Zinc is one of the important antioxidant. Sources of zinc are milk, meat, fish, and in different vegetables also it is present, but it has been observed that the bioavailability is less in vegetarian products. Requirements are 12 milligrams per day in man, 10 milligrams per day in a woman, and 0.5 milligrams per day in children. Next mineral that we are going to discuss is copper. Body contains around 100 to 150 milligrams of copper. Daily requirements of copper are 2 milligrams per day. Deficiency leads to nephrosis, neutropenia. Sometimes excess will give rise to hypercupremia. Hypercupremia occurs in those who eat food which is cooked in copper vessels, which leads to Hodgkin's disease, like very serious malignancy, severe anemia, myocardial infarction, and even hyperthyroidism. Cobalt, chromium, and molybdenum, these are the important minerals about whose importance I will be discussing here. Cobalt is part of vitamin B12 cyanocobalamin, necessary for the first stage hormone production, which may interfere with iodine and affect utilization. Chromium is the next one. Chromium plays important role in carbohydrate and insulin function. Body contains 6 milligrams of chromium. Next is selenium. Selenium deficiency may occur in protein energy malnutrition with vitamin E deficiency, which may reduce antibody production. Then next is molybdenum. Molybdenum excess absorption may produce bony deformities and deficiency, which may be associated with mouth cancer and esophageal cancer. Now here the part 1 that is nutrition summary, part 1 is over, and now we will start with the nutritional requirements is the first slide. Variety of terms are used. Number 1 used is optimum requirement. Second term commonly used is minimum requirement. Third term used is recommended allowance. Fourth is safe level of intake. Out of these, recommended daily allowance is accepted term. Recommended daily allowance corresponds to 97.5% in a given population, which is equivalent to mean plus or minus 3 standard deviations. That means it is 2.5% of the individual's requirements is fulfilled in this RDA. It is 2.5% of the individual's requirements are above this RDA. So remaining 97.5% of the people, their requirements are fulfilled. It is not applicable for energy requirement. RDA is not meant to be used as a standard to determine whether the individual requirement has met with or not, since it is a level above the requirement. More than 97.5% of the people, their requirement is fulfilled by this definition. RDA value is valid all over the dietary nutrients intake when other nutrients are given in a satisfactory way. Now next, that is term that is commonly used is bioavailability. Bioavailability of a food is release of nutrients from the food and its absorption in the intestine. It is applicable to proteins, calcium, iron and zinc. It is specially applicable for cereal-based diet. Requirement varies with age, gender, body weight, growth, occupation and physiological conditions. Now, when physiological conditions are described, always pregnancy and lactation, these two physiological conditions are described. Nutritional requirements during pregnancy and lactation, about this we are discussing. During pregnancy, all nutritional requirement increase because she has to look after her fetus that is growing in her utero, and also in her body the metabolism changes, and so her own requirements also increase. During pregnancy, the caloric requirement increases by 350 calories per day, and during lactation the requirements are still more, around 600 calories per day in first 6 months and 520 calories per day extra. These are extra amounts than whatever she used to take in her routine day-to-day diet. About proteins, 23 grams extra proteins are needed during pregnancy. During lactation, 19 grams per day in first 6 months and 13 grams per day extra in next 6 months. Regarding fats, the fat content should increase by 10 grams during pregnancy and lactation. Throughout, 10 grams per day extra are needed. Regarding iron, iron requirements are more by 14 milligrams per day throughout her pregnancy. Then regarding folic acid is one of the very, very important vitamin B from B complex groups, essential during pregnancy, 300 micrograms in pregnancy per day, and during lactation 100 micrograms in first 6 months as well as 100 micrograms in second 6 months. Now regarding the Indian reference man and woman. This is the concept in nutrition very commonly used. Indian reference man is a man who is 18 to 29 years of age, 1.73 meters in height, his weight is 60 kg, BMI, that is body mass index, is 20.3, he is free from disease, physically active and fit and engaged in work for 8 hours occupation, which is a moderate type of activity, 8 hours in bed and 4 to 6 hours in sitting or moving, 2 hours in household activities. Such man is called Indian reference man. Many of the times, what are the requirements about that when described? Always Indian reference man is the standard that is accepted. Similarly, Indian reference woman who is 18 to 29 years of age, non-pregnant, non-lactating, weight is 55 kg, height is 1.61 centimeters, BMI is 21.2. She is free from any disease, physically fit, physically active, 8 hours occupation of moderate work, 8 hours in bed, 4 to 6 hours in sitting and moving, 2 hours in household work and or walking or recreation. Such woman is called Indian reference woman. Regarding infant, if he is to be referred, weight of the body at 6 months is used for computing the infant up to 6 months of age, and if for 6 to 12 months, then weight at 12 months is considered as the standard for that age. Next concept is about balanced diet. Balanced diet is the one, it contains a variety of foods in such a quantities and proportions that the need for energy, amino acids, vitamins, minerals, fats, carbohydrates and other nutrients is adequately met for maintaining the health, vitality and general well-being, and makes a small provision for extra nutrients to withstand short duration of leanness. It is accepted mean to safeguard the population from nutritional deficiencies. Now, dietary goals or prudent diet. WHO expert committee members have given this concept of dietary goals or prudent diet. What does it mean? The recommendations given in dietary goals are: number 1, the fat should be limited to 15 to 30% of the total daily intake. Number 2 is, out of this, saturated fat should be only 10%. Remaining should be unsaturated fats. Last time, in our last lecture, we have seen saturated are the animal fats and unsaturated are the vegetarian or plant fats. Carbohydrates should be less refined and some fiber should always be there. Refined carbohydrate is maida. That maida should not be consumed at all, and some fibers definitely should be there. Vegetables, fruits, they contain sufficient amount of fibers, may be soluble or insoluble. They should be there in the diet. Then in energy sources, fat and alcohol should be less. About fat, we know it increases cholesterol level, lipid profile is disturbed, low density lipoproteins and very low density lipoproteins are increased, so fats are dangerous. Regarding alcohol, alcohol is habit forming or addiction forming, so alcohol never should be consumed. And alcohol also gives side effects to other organs like liver cirrhosis, esophageal cancer, and effect on heart is one of the worst type of habits or addiction, so everybody should be away from it. Then salt intake should be 5 grams only. Indian diet, Indians are very fond of eating more amount of salty foods like papad, lonse, khare dane, and because of that the salt intake is around 15 grams per day. But this is my sincere advice to all of you that salt intake should be less than the expected 15 grams. It should not be, it should be only 5 grams. Then protein should be 10 to 15% of daily intake. Junk food like cola, burger, pizza, ketchup should be reduced. Then diet should be adapted to the special needs like pregnancy, lactation, physical activity and medical disorders. Regarding the nutritional problems that commonly are being observed are: number 1, commonest nutritional problem is low birth weight babies. In our country, 1/3 of the babies that are born are having low birth weight. According to WHO standard, birth weight of a baby should be 2.5 kilos. Those babies whose weight is less than 2.5 are called low birth weight babies. These low birth weight babies, commonest reason behind it is maternal malnutrition in pregnancy. Because mother eats less, she can give less amount of nutrients to her baby, and so baby does not grow properly. This is one reason. Second reason is mother does not get sufficient rest. During resting time, ideally she should take 8 hours rest during night and 2 hours rest in the afternoons. These 10 hours resting time, she can divert her whole blood to her baby in utero, and the baby's growth takes place very fast. But in our country it does not happen, and so malnutrition leading to low birth weight. And third thing is associated illnesses in pregnancy like anemia. Malnutrition already we have discussed, other nutritional deficiency disorders and associated other illnesses lead to low birth weight. Next common nutritional problem is protein energy malnutrition. It can be in newborns, it can be in school going children, or it can be in pediatric age group. Now, how to decide whether a particular child is is having a problem of PEM, protein energy malnutrition, or not. Different people at different times have given their way of considering or deciding factor for low birth protein energy malnutrition. In that, Gomez classification is the one. Gomez says if the weight of the baby is less than 90% of the expected weight, then that baby is called PEM, that is protein energy malnutrition baby. Second is Waterloo. Waterloo classified, according to him, if the weight is mean minus 2 standard deviations of the expected weight, he is called a PEM baby. And third way recently introduced is SAM and MAM. SAM is severe acute malnutrition, when the weight of the baby is less than median minus 3 standard deviations. He is called severe acute malnutrition baby. Second is MAM, that is medium acute malnutrition, when the weight is less than median minus 2 standard deviations, then he is called MAM. Now about this SAM and MAM, in my last lecture I had given my comments. Now third commonest problem related to nutrition is xerophthalmia, that is vitamin A deficiency, leading to different eye conditions like bitot spots, night blindness, xerosis of conjunctiva, xerosis of cornea, and keratomalacia. Next nutritional problem is nutritional anemia. Nutritional anemia, because of mainly deficiency in the diet, is very common, especially during pregnancy, and as it is in women, 60% of the Indian women are anemic. Next to that problem is iodine deficiency disorders, about which just now we have discussed. Then endemic fluorosis, about fluorosis also we have discussed. Nalgonda technique can help in removing the extra fluorine, and the problem of fluorosis can be solved. Next is laterism. Laterism is due to khesri dal consumption, which may lead to the problem of neurolaterism or osteolaterism, which can be solved by banning the crop. This is one, that is, don't have that seeds, so that there will not be crop of khesri dal available, but this is not feasible because it gives very good yield, and that is why very commonly it is used. But in that, a thing can be done, the seeds selection, in that seeds containing less amount of toxin can be selected, so problem of laterism can be solved. Then parboiling, after the khesri dal has been prepared, then by the process of parboiling, as we do parboiling of rice, about that we know, similarly parboiling of this khesri dal can be done, and it will be of automatically, it will remove the toxin in it, beta oxalyl aminoaniline, that can be removed and it will become safe. Or third method is steeping method. Steeping method is putting this khesri dal in boiled water for some time, so that all the toxin part of it get dissolved, and then remove that water and then cook it. That is called steeping method. But in that, disadvantage is all the water soluble vitamins, that is vitamin B complex and vitamin C, are lost. Then other thing is this way the education should be given to the women who are the housewives preparing food, improving their socio-economic status, so they will not purchase this less costly laterous, that is khesri dal. Now there are other diseases related to nutrition. They are, number one is cardiovascular diseases. WHO expert committee has described as triangular relationship between habitual diet, serum cholesterol, and CHD, and also excess of salt intake leading to hypertension. These are the problems related to nutrition. Then diabetes mellitus that is impaired glucose metabolism, is again a serious health problem related to nutrition, in which there is ketoacidosis and muscle wasting. It may be due to excess of alcohol consumption, especially those who are chronic alcoholics. Third problem related to nutrition is obesity. Obesity due to eating more food than needed, and that associated diabetes mellitus, hypertension and coronary heart disease may be the problems associated with diabetes. Next to that problem is of cancer. Excess of fat in the diet makes the person prone for conditions like carcinoma colon or carcinoma breast. Then vitamin C. On the contrary, vitamin C is protective against carcinoma stomach. Aflatoxins, coffee and certain food additives are proved to be carcinogenic, and so as far as possible they should be avoided. Now, assessment of nutritional status is one of the very important concept in nutrition. Now, how to assess the nutritional status of a community? In that, first thing will be carry out a clinical examination from tip to toe. What different things that can be seen are on the face, in the oral cavity, angular stomatitis, in the eyes, bitot spots, night blindness, conjunctival xerosis, corneal xerosis, keratomalacia, in the oral cavity, glossitis, leukoplakia, bleeding gums, in the neck, thyroid enlargement, then in the chest, rickety rosary, absence of knee jerk or ankle jerk or calf tenderness. These are some of the positive signs showing that there is some nutritional deficiency in this particular person. Next assessment method is carry out the anthropometric measurements. Anthropometric measurements, in that commonly height of a person and finding out height for age, then weight of a person by weight for age, then skin fold thickness to know the musculature and also the fat content, then arm circumference, mid upper arm circumference, about which last time we have discussed, then head circumference and chest circumference in pediatric age group, then waist hip ratio, especially in adults. Waist hip ratio is very important indicator to decide whether he is having a risk related to cardiovascular diseases or not. All these measurements are to be done by trained paramedical persons. They are to be trained what are the do's and don'ts, how actually the measurement should be done, about that they should be taught, and they should note it down immediately, and they should use the tape which is of non-elastic type of tape should be used for measuring, and they should note it down, these paramedical workers, and rule out the inter-observer and intra-observer error. Training is a must, and then after that comparing these figures with the national standards will give the conclusion about the risk of any nutritional disorders. Third assessment method is biochemical evaluation. In that, hemoglobin percentage, serum levels of proteins, fats, different vitamins, minerals, and comparing with normal and finding out whether there is a deficiency or excess that can be found out. The fourth way of assessing is functional assessment of individual organs. In that, especially liver function test, kidney function tests are definitely carried out to know their functioning, and that will tell us the nutritional status of a person. Fifth is assessment of dietary intake. This is very important in nutrition. Now in this individual method to be followed, about that person should know what are the advantages and limitations of each method. because there are 4 different methods described depending upon the situation, depending upon the convenience and the audience whose nutritional assessment has to be carried out. Accordingly, the method is decided. I'll tell one by one. Number 1 method is weighment of raw food. That means the house whose assessment has to be done, go to that house early morning before the woman starts cooking her food. Ask her how much raw food that she is going to use today. Rice, dal, vegetables, wheat flour or jawar flour for salad, different seasonal fruit that she is going to use. All that she should show. That will be weighed and noted. She will be asked to prepare it, serve it throughout the day. If she needs extra, then how much extra, about that she will have a note, and if some part remains, then that will have to be noted, and that will also have to be communicated to a person who is carrying out this assessment. The person who is assessing it should go every day for a week. 1 week he should go there, so that he can find out every day what was the change. Some day may be a fasting day, some day may be a party day, some day may be a feast day, some day may be some extra guests were there. All these variations he can know in a week, and at the end of the week, for 7 days, how many calories are consumed by the whole family, divided by the total number of family members in that family. Assuming that everybody eats equal quantity, how many calories, how many proteins, how many vitamins and minerals the person has consumed, about that he will know. This is how the weighment of raw food is the method. Next method, here the limitation is that he has considered that everybody eats equal quantity. Maybe a 5 years old child and also a 50 years old his father. Both of them are eating equally, which may not be a correct thing. But this is the limitation. Second is weighment of cooked food. Instead of weighing the raw food, if the amount of rice that he is eating, amount of chapati that he eats, or vegetables or dal, that is weighed and served to him, and that is noted and found out. This method is called weighment of cooked food. It is a better system than the first one, but the thing is, difficulty is, person may not like that somebody is weighing and distributing the food to me. So that is the disadvantage of this method. Third method is oral questionnaire method. Instead of actual weighment, just ask the questions as to how much he eats during breakfast, lunch, tea time, dinner, otherwise, and note it down, and the ready reckoners are available. That is, 1 cup of coffee gives so many calories, so many proteins. Like that, from that the calories, proteins and other nutrients will be added, and that will give the nutritional assessment of the person. And fourth method is stock inventory method, in which the monthly grocery that is purchased, how much it is, that is found out, divided by 30, that is for 1 day how much was consumed, and divided by the number of persons in the house, that will tell you the amount of calories and proteins that that person has consumed. So this is called stock inventory method. So there are some, these methods are more or less more approximation methods, but definitely they give idea about what is their staple diet, how much quantity do they eat, what is the methodology, and what modifications are needed. So accordingly the suggestions can be given. Then about vital and health statistics, in that percentage of low birth weight babies, infant mortality rate, protein energy malnutrition children, then anemia, xerophthalmia proportion. From that the assessment of that community, nutritional assessment of that community can be done. Then ecological studies like food balance sheets, then socio-economic factors, health and education services and conditioning influences will also be of help. Nutritional surveillance is keeping watch over nutrition in order to make decisions that will lead to improvement in nutrition and population. It has three objectives. Objective number 1 is aid long-term planning in health and development. Number 2 is provide inputs for program management. And number 3 is give timely warning and intervention to prevent short-term food consumption crisis. Food surveillance is essential for protection and maintenance of community health. Food safety hygiene, all conditions and measures that are necessary during the production, processing, storage and distribution are necessary. Then preparation of food to ensure that it is safe, sound, wholesome and fit for human consumption is the principle. Now, Alma Ata Declaration has declared food safety as an essential component of primary health care. Next is regarding food hygiene. In production, handling, distribution and serving of all types of food, food hygiene is very important to prevent food poisoning and foodborne diseases. Now students, commonest food that everybody of us consumes is milk. Whether you are vegetarian or non-vegetarian, everybody consumes milk. So about milk hygiene we will discuss in details. Milk hygiene and milk-borne diseases. Through milking, the possibility of milk-borne diseases are through milking animal, the milkman, the environment in which the milking is carried out, and then it is distributed to the community. To take the hygienic care of milk, pasteurization is the process that is carried out. There are three methods of pasteurization. Number 1 is Holder method, second is high temperature short term method, and third is ultra high temperature short term method. About these three methods books have given the details, but out of this, whichever is feasible in that local area, accordingly the pasteurization is carried out and then pasteurized milk is supplied to the community. But after pasteurization, whether the pasteurization is done properly or not, is really the quality of milk improved, is maintained or not, for that different tests are carried out like methylene blue test, phosphatase test, standard plate count and coliform count, which can confirm the quality of milk after pasteurization. Then about the health and hygiene of milkman should be well maintained. Vessels for collecting the milk should be clean. Environment and hygiene of the surrounding area where the milking of animal is being carried out should be maintained. Hygiene of udder of the animal from where the milk actually comes for cows and buffaloes should be cleaned and then the milking should be started. Use of actually in past there used to be a person, milkman used to take out the milk from udder, but nowadays a machine is available to extract the milk. So by non-touch technique from animal directly to the vessel, the milk can be collected. It is more effective and hygienic, but only the problem is the machine which is commonly used is very costly, and that is why affordability is the problem. Now this is the machine that I have shown in this picture. All of you should go through it, and when you come to LONI, I can show you this, I can take you to the place and I can show you this machine. Now next is, this is also the same machine where in the vessel it is getting collected. The blue colored tubes are the ones which are to be fitted to the udders of animal, and they are to be through this blue colored tubes the milk comes and it is getting collected in the vessels. Now other food contains hygiene. About that, meat hygiene is the second one that I thought we should discuss. Animal health, who is to be slaughtered, is very very important. So through veterinary doctor, the animal to be slaughtered should be examined first. Then slaughterhouse hygiene has to be maintained. The slaughterer's personal hygiene should be good. and after slaughtering process is over, the storage of slaughtered meat should be stored at a cool place. So where it is to be stored, about that the provision should be made before time, and accordingly it should be stored. Similarly, fish hygiene, egg hygiene will have to be carried out. Fruits and vegetable hygiene also will have to be taken care of. Hygiene of eating places where you are going to eat, that should be clean. Then sanitation of eating places, maybe in the house, your dining room, or in the restaurant if you go, the eating place should be clean. And sanitation of eating places has to be maintained. Hygiene of the cooked and cooks who are preparing the food, and the food handlers or the waiters who are going to serve food to you, that also should be maintained. Then quality of raw material which is selected for cooking, vegetables, fruits should be made available for cooking. They should be clean and proper selection should be there. Hygiene of the kitchen utensils used for cooking is a must. Then about food toxicants, letharism due to consumption of kesri dal, which contains toxin beta-oxalyl aminoalanine, leading to paresis and then paralysis of upper extremity, lower extremity, giving rise to neurological and osteogenic problems, is very well known. Then aflatoxicosis, a fungus which grows on the food products, mycotoxin produced on groundnut and maize. Third is ergot. Ergot, a food fungus that grows on bajra or sorghum, which is black mass seen, which may give rise to diarrhea. Then epidemic dropsy, that is argemone seeds are mixed with mustard seeds. While extracting the oil from it, the sanguinarine is the toxin which get mixed and interferes with the oxidation of pyruvic acid. Then endemic ascites in Madhya Pradesh, the locally available Panicum millare gets contaminated with Crotaria, which contains Pyrofusarium toxin, that is sorghum and rice. NIN, that is National Institute of Nutrition, Hyderabad, is carrying out a study to isolate and identify the toxic metabolites produced by fusarium in a matter. About food additives, there are certain food products mixed in the food. There may be coloring agents like saffron or turmeric to make it more attractive, or flavoring agents like vanilla, or sweeteners like saccharin, or preservatives like ascorbic acid or sodium benzoate. They are all edible substances and useful, and they make the food more attractive. Now, second category of food additives that I am going to tell you are accidentally the contaminants that are getting mixed. Maybe when the packaging of the food is being done, or in the farms when insecticide spraying was done, the food got contaminated, and that is food additive which is dangerous to human beings. Or sometimes the nitrates, nitrites like preservatives which are added, which lead to production of toxic substances, and nitrosamines are produced which are having cancer etiology, which may lead to cancer etiology. Then food fortification. What is food fortification? Certain nutrients are added to food to make the quality of the diet good. For example, fluoridation of water to prevent dental caries. Number 2 example is iodization of salt to prevent endemic goiter. About it, all of us know, and every day we are consuming iodized salt. Third is vegetable oil fortified with vitamin A and D after the process of hydrogenation. When vegetable oil is converted into fat, that process of hydrogenation, during that vitamin A and D are lost. So by fortification, these two vitamins are mixed, that is called food fortification. These are the 3 examples of food fortification in day-to-day practice. For selecting a vehicle for fortification, that means here in first example it is water, in second it is salt, and in third it is the oil. That vehicle for fortification must be consumed consistently. The amount must supply effective supplementation. Number 3 is it should not change the taste, smell, appearance or consistency, and the cost should not rise beyond reach of a common man. Then it is accepted vehicle for food fortification. Adequate surveillance and control must be followed. Now, adulteration of food. All of us are aware about this adulteration. What is meant by it? Mixing, substitution, concealing the quality, putting decomposed food for sale, misbranding, giving wrong labels or addition of toxicants is called adulteration. Now, what is the disadvantage of this process is extra money. The customer has to pay extra money, and second is it may give hazards to his health. So, to detect this adulteration and punishing the person who is carrying it out is a must, and for that Prevention of Food Adulteration Act came into existence in the year 1954 after our independence, and gradually it was implemented. In the implementation, when it was thought that more stringent law has to be made, so repeatedly there were some amendments made in 1964, 1976 and 1986. Initially it was 6 months imprisonment and 1000 rupees as fine. Gradually it was thought that lifelong imprisonment is essential and 5000 rupees as a fine is a must. In 1986, the consumers and voluntary organizations are allowed to take sample of food. They play a vital role in curbing the problem of food adulteration. Now, this food adulteration is a very serious topic, so about which there are some more slides about which I am going to tell. In the year 2006, Food Safety and Standard Authority of India, that is FSSAI, has decided the penalty of rupees 2 lakhs penalty of rupees 2 lakhs if adulteration is not injurious to health, and more than 10 lakh rupees if the adulterant is injurious to health. Now, if this matter goes to court, court can issue prohibition orders, that is use of process of treatment for the purpose of food business. Number 2 is use of premises or equipments for the purpose of food business or any other food business of the same class or description. Our administrative officer can order cancellation of license, recall the food from market and publish the name of the guilty person and penalty imposed in newspapers. So it is known to each and every person in the community what mistake this person has done. Now, next point that we are going to discuss is National Nutrition Policy 1993. As nutrition is a multi-sectoral issue, it needs to be tackled by direct intervention, short term for vulnerable groups, expands safety measures by safety nets by UIP, ORS and ICDS, growth monitoring for 0 to 3 years of age with involvement of mother, making adolescent girls ready for safe motherhood, ensure better coverage of expectant mothers to reduce the incidence of low birth weight babies, fortification of essential foods, popularization of low cost nutritious food, control of micronutrient deficiencies in vulnerable groups, indirect policy instruments like long term institutional and structural changes, food security, in that 250 kg per person per year of food grains if made available, there will never be a problem of malnutrition. Then improvement in dietary pattern through production and demonstration, improving the purchasing power of urban and rural poor by improving the public food distribution system, land reforms, health and family welfare, basic health nutrition knowledge, prevention of food adulteration, nutrition surveillance, monitoring of nutrition programs, research on nutrition consumption and supply, equal remuneration for women, because women utilize it for their own family and males utilize it for their own addictions, communication through media for implementation of nutrition policy, minimum wage administration, community participation, education and literacy of women, improvement of the status of women. Now for community nutrition programs, vitamin A prophylaxis, prophylaxis against nutritional anemia, control of iodine deficiency disorders and special nutrition programs. Now Balwadi nutrition program, ICDS program, midday school meal program, midday meal program are for under 5s and school going children. Monitoring and evaluation of nutrition programs, effective planning, monitoring and evaluation of health programs by randomized control trials. Solutions are to improve the diet of the family, improve the socio-economic status. They can take balanced diet. Balwadi nutrition and ICDS program are for under 5s. The principles are it is given 250 to 300 days of the year, number 1. Number 2, it should be a supplement and not a substitute. Number 3, it should give half the protein requirement and 1/3 of the caloric requirement. Then associated before and after weighing, after 1 month to find out the weight gain, 6 monthly deworming should be done and evaluation of the program should be carried out. Now this is a question bank in that some MCQs, some short short answered questions, long answered questions I have given. All of you please go through it, prepare your answer. Now some of them I have discussed. Number 1 is goiter control program. In that, goiter is the problem of 71 million people suffering from goiter. Components of this are give iodized salt or oil. Number 2 is monitoring and surveillance. Number 3 is manpower training, and number 4 is mass communication. 2-in-1 salt, which is giving iron as well as iodine, is going to be made available to combat the problem of anemia as well as iodine deficiency disorders. Iodine monitoring through network laboratories is being carried out. Mass communication is a tool for nutrition education to the community. By creation of public awareness, deficiency disorders can be taken care of. Hazards of consumption of iodized salt may lead to thyrotoxicosis. This is one of the serious problems about which all of you should know. Next is Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog is National Institution for Transforming India, started functioning since 1st January 2015. It has replaced Planning Commission. Members are Prime Minister is the chairperson, and it is a think tank which provides technical advice to the centers and the states. 2 parts are Team India Hub, which works a bridge between states and central government. Knowledge and Innovative Hub, which works for building Niti think tank's capabilities. It is also Art Resource Center, having adequate resources to provide vision for policy making and to deal with these issues. Members of Niti Aayog are Prime Minister chairperson, Vice chairperson, then 4 executive officers, a secretary, 5 full-time members, 2 part-time members from university research organizations, 4 ex officio members from Union Council of Ministry, then governing council consisting of chief ministers of all the states and union territories, then regional council consisting of chief ministers and governors and experts and specialists in various fields. Important functions that they carry out are they make the states strong to formulate credible plans, to make long-term policy and framework, to make improvement and mid-course corrections, provide advice and encourage partnership between key stakeholders and national and international like-minded think tanks as well as educational and policy research institutions, to create a knowledge, innovation and entrepreneurial support system through collaborative community of national, international expert practitioners. Now, National Nutrition Strategy (NNS) focuses on prevention and reduction of undernutrition in children of 0 to 3 years by 3rd percent point per annum from NFHS 4 levels by 2022. Second is to reduce the prevalence of anemia among young children, adolescent girls and women in the reproductive age of 15 to 49 years by 1/3 of NFHS level by 2022. Nutrition intervention is breastfeeding and complementary feeding. In between, then universal growth monitoring through ICDS cards and enhanced care of nutritional support referral management of SAM and MAM children. Now, global hunger index is one of the very important concept, that is percentage of undernourished population in a percentage of the total population, percentage of underweight children under the age of 5 years as a percentage of the population of children under 5 years of age, and mortality rate of children under 5 years of age. These three percentages are taken, add all three of them, find out the average. Hunger index is 0 indicates best, 0 indicates best and 100 indicates worst. Scores 1 to 0 is the low, 0 to less than 10 is low hunger index, 10 to less than 20 is moderate hunger index, 20 to less than 35 is serious, 35 to less than 50 is alarming, and 50 plus is extremely alarming. Now, as far as Niti Aayog in 2017 said, India ranked 100 out of 119 countries, as India's score for global hunger index is 31.4, a serious situation since 1992. As a calculation of International Food Policy Research Institute in 2014, global hunger index is 17.8, and hidden hunger is all over the country. Iron, iodine, zinc, vitamin A are made available through diet. Amount less than expected as per the need may be due to less supply in the diet or due to less bioavailability, or deficiency is very common. After some days, the problem can be night blindness or goiter, which becomes obvious, and it does not remain a hidden hunger but it becomes obvious. Paradoxically, obesity with hidden hunger, that is undernutrition with micronutrient deficiency, is also well known. So this is my last slide. Thank you for patient listening. It is over. Yes.